Okay, so last class, actually someone mentioned about LGBT issues, and we didn't have it in the curriculum, or we didn't have a class scheduled. So we decided to add a class on LGBT issues related to the classroom. So we're going to be looking at that today. Hello. Okay, so the objective for today's class is that participants will be able to name ways to create a safe learning environment for LGBT. Oops, I think I misspelled that. It should be LGBT plus students. So community guidelines. We are happy if you are here, obviously, but please try to arrive on time. Usually we kind of wait for the first 5 minutes for everyone to arrive. If you are late, that is okay. You can join in. And if you have IT problems, it's okay if you have to leave and come back. I understand that happens. Please mute yourself when you are not talking so it does not interrupt other people. And remember to unmute yourself when you are talking and to speak loudly. Please complete the pre-class self-paced interactive slides. They were emailed out and on Facebook. And please complete the post-class evaluation or feedback form. We can use that to improve the classes. And if you have any questions or technical issues during the session or afterwards about the session, you can either type in the chat box or send an email to info.hett@gmail.com. Hey, my name is Lisa. I think most of you have joined us before, but I will be facilitating this training or workshop today. Previously, I was in Myanmar. I have done some teacher training. I have some English language teaching, and I have worked as an environmental educator. Kathleen makes all the PowerPoints and is co-hosting. So would you like to introduce yourself?
Hi, my name is Kathleen Griley, and I'm an English teacher and a Spanish teacher currently located in the US.
Okay, cool. And I'm currently in Canada. I forget to add that part. Okay. How well do you understand LGBT plus issues? So not at all, a little bit, and extremely well. So how well do you understand LGBT plus issues? On the count of 3. 1, 2, 3. How well? Okay. Some people have their cameras off. A little bit. Okay. So what are the common LGBT plus issues in Myanmar? A little bit, a little bit. I got lots of little bits. What does anyone want to tell me, either to tell me or type in the chat box? What are some of the common LGBT issues?
Okay, let me share something about the LGBT issues in Myanmar. So let's talk about the education's education environment. So when we mention about education environment and some young children, okay, let's say about our new generations in Myanmar. So most most members of LGBTs, when they are in education campus, let's in around about around the school campus. By the time they are there, mostly they will discriminate and like a reject, about a playing together, doing cooperation, or cooperation something. For example, like a pair walk and then a group, group walk. That is what I mostly see. And sometimes I wish all our modern parents and understand and how, in order to push their son or daughters, how to say, like stop being anyone or LGBT. So in order to do that, and I wish all their parents understand who they are, and then show the way in how they can guide to the right paths for their futures. That is what I want to talk about in the education fees in Myanmar.
That makes sense. Yeah, definitely. I'm just gonna read some of the comments. So people look down upon lesbians. Most of the people in Myanmar think that LGBT is a wrong practice. They disrespect to LGBT. Yeah. I mean, I didn't know this personally. I saw online that at one of the universities, there was a librarian who was bullied for being gay. He was bullied for being gay by, I think, other faculty members, to the point where he committed suicide last year. I don't know if you guys know about it. I just saw it online. I didn't know about it in person. But yeah, it said he committed suicide because of dealing with that. So not he wasn't a student, but he was a faculty member. He was a staff member at one of the universities in Myanmar. Okay, what does LGBT plus mean? What does it stand for? You can either put it in the chat box or tell me.
Lesbian, gay, bisexual, and transgender.
Yes, yeah. And let me see. Yes. So, and I added the plus in because it usually means like plus more. Yeah, gay community. Yes. So it might mean like plus more. So sometimes in Canada we say LGBT 2Q, I think, or LGBTQQ. Um, and in Canada, that stands for lesbian, gay, bisexual, transgender, queer, and there's, oh no, it's queer, questioning, two-spirited. Yeah, so it's LGBTQQ2 in Canada is the common term, or the official term. And that's because our two-spirited is the Aboriginal Native American having kind of two genders, part of their culture. So we have a longer term, but they're kind of short term that everyone, so depending on the country or the place, they use different terms, but most places use some form of LGBT. And sometimes they make it longer than that or not, depending. So I just add the plus to mean it could be more than that. But yes, it means lesbian, gay, bisexual, transgender, and it is an umbrella term, an overall term that kind of encompasses a lot of different other terms within it. So it kind of means anyone that is not heterosexual and not cisgender. Does anyone know what heterosexual means? You can type it in the chat box if you would like. So what does it mean to be heterosexual? Yeah, so interest in the opposite sex. Yeah. Yeah. So that means male sexually I would say sexually or romantically attracted to females. I guess it's heterosexual, but usually it means males sexually and romantically attracted to females, and females sexually and romantically attracted to males. So you're attracted to the opposite gender and the opposite sex. Okay. What does cisgender mean? Does anyone know what cisgender means? You can put it in the chat box. So does anyone remember last week when we talked about gender equality? So what is your physical, what is your physical kind of like gender is kind of cultural, and then the physical aspect, what is that called? Yeah. So yeah, good. So natural born biological sex. So what cisgender is, it means that your gender and your sex are the same. So the sex that you were at birth, so if you're physically kind of a woman, then the gender that you express as is as a woman. Yeah. So when we use the terms LGBT plus or LGBTQ or LGBTQQQ2 or whatever it is, sorry, it shouldn't, it means someone that is not heterosexual and someone who is not cisgender. So usually that's kind of what it's relating to. Okay. So for our first activity, you will see a term related to LGBT plus communities on the slide. I would like you to type the definition of the term in the chat box. So I'll give you about 1 minute to type the definition in the box. So see if you know the definition. Then I have to think of the definition in my head because I forgot to look up definitions. Okay, what does it mean to be lesbian? So I'll give you about 1 minute to answer. What does it mean to be lesbian? So you can just type it in the chat box if you'd like. Give everyone a minute. Yep. Oops, sorry. Okay. Yeah. Okay. Good. Yes. So some of the answers. So it is a woman who loves another woman. So it's a woman who is attracted romantically to another woman. Okay. So it's usually, it does not mean a man. It is only a woman. Or it is only referencing a woman who is attracted to another woman and not a man. So yeah, it says girl loves girl. Yeah, homosexual woman. Yeah. And it does not mean that they have to be sexually involved. They might be sexually involved, but a lot of times it just means that they're romantically involved with each other. So someone who has romantic feelings for another woman. what does this term mean? So I'll give you a minute you can type in the chat box. What does this one mean? Gay. What does it mean if someone is gay? Okay, good, excellent. Yeah, so it means, it means someone, sometimes it's used overall. So it's most often used for a man who is romantically or sexually attracted to another man. But sometimes it's used overall for anyone who is homosexual. So sometimes you can still say a gay woman, but it's not as common. You're more likely to say it for a man who loves another man, but sometimes you can still use it for a woman. I'm not really sure why, but sometimes it's used as more general term to indicate someone is homosexual, but more so for men. Okay, and bisexual. What does bisexual mean? Yeah. Anyone else going to answer? Okay, good. Yeah, so someone who is attracted to both genders or both sexes. So maybe if you're a woman and you're romantically and sexually attracted to other women, or if you're a woman and you're romantically and sexually attracted to men as well. So you're attracted to both. You can also get quite complex where someone might have romantic feelings for both, but only sexual feelings for one. Or maybe they have sexual feelings for both, but only romantic feelings for one. So it's a bit complex because you have the mix of sexual and romantic, and they're slightly different things. And they don't always match up perfectly either. So sometimes you get like people who are biromantic, but heterosexual, or homosexual, but biromantic. But this is the most common term that is used. Okay, what does it mean to be transgender? So I'll give you about 1 minute to answer. Anyone else? Good. So some of you are saying change sex. It doesn't always mean they change sex because they may not have surgery. But it does kind of mean, it's a general term to kind of mean that the gender they feel they are does not match with their sex. So the sex that they were born with does not match how the gender that they feel. And that can show up in different ways. It's kind of a very general term. And they may get surgery, they may not get surgery. It may just be how they feel. It could be how they express themselves. But yeah, I would say in Thailand, I don't know in Myanmar the term. I know officially in Thailand the term is katui for a man to a woman. And sometimes woman to man / a butch lesbian they call a tom. And then informally they say like a lady boy in Thailand, but I don't know in Myanmar what terms are used. Okay, what does the word queer mean? Does anyone know? I kind of mentioned earlier that sometimes we say LGBTQ, so that's lesbian, gay, bisexual, transgender, queer. So what does queer mean? Does anyone know? Yeah, feeling strange. That's kind of the official definition. It's not really quite this definition. So queer is kind of a term when you don't identify as heterosexual, especially, sometimes also maybe cisgender, but especially queer kind of means you don't identify as heterosexual, but maybe you haven't decided or you just don't know exactly where you fit. So it's more of a general term to kind of be like, oh, I'm queer. So you're not giving an exact definition, but you're saying like, I'm not straight, I'm not heterosexual. And a lot of times in English, we say straight to mean heterosexual. So it could be someone that's gay, it could be someone that's lesbian, it could be someone that's bisexual, that type of thing. So they're queer, they're not straight, but they're not saying how. Asexual. Does anyone know what asexual means? Yeah, without sexual feeling. No sexual feeling. Good, no sexual feeling. Yeah, it means you have no sexual attraction. So you have no sexual attraction to women, you have no sexual attraction to men. Maybe you still have romantic attraction. Maybe you still like have romantic attraction, but you do not have sexual attraction at all. Okay, and related to that, what does aromantic mean? Aromantic, very similar. Yeah. Yeah, so no romantic feelings. Some people not experiencing, so it's romantic. It's the romantic part, like the aww. So some people don't have romantic feelings. They don't fall in love. Maybe, yeah, they have no desire for a romantic relationship. They do not want a boyfriend. They do not want a girlfriend. Um, Maybe they still have sexual attraction, but they don't want a boyfriend or a girlfriend or a husband or a wife. They just have no interest in a romantic relationship. Okay, what does it mean to be homosexual? Yeah, same sex. Anyone else? Yeah, man to man, woman to woman. Yeah. So, yeah, someone who is interested in the same sex or the same gender as them. So it kind of means someone who is lesbian, someone who is gay. It could be a man who likes a man. It could be a woman who likes women. Um, it can be either or. Okay. This is a new term that's become quite common in English in the last, I don't know, maybe 5 years, maybe slightly more. So pansexual. Does anyone know what pansexual is? Give people a few moments in case they Google it. Yeah, what does it mean to be pansexual? Yeah, interested in all. Anyone else? So this means that you are maybe, let me check, any sex, yeah. Involves sexual activity in many kinds. No limiting sexual choice. Attracted people based on personality. Actually, that's a definition I think is a good definition. So it's not just that the person will go out and have sex with everyone or have lots of relationships with everyone. That's not what it means. It means that someone is attracted to other people, maybe romantically, sexually, like they want relationships with people based on personality, not on sex or on gender. So maybe they are romantically or sexually attracted to a woman, maybe they're romantically and sexually attracted to a man, maybe they're romantically and sexually attracted to someone who's transgender. So they're attracted based on personality though, and not on gender or on sex. They just really like someone's personality, and so then they're attracted to that person based on personality. But it doesn't mean they're with everyone. It just means how they're attracted. Um, in reality, the difference between bisexual and pansexual is like they're very similar, because bi is both men and women, but many people who are bisexual also are attracted to people who are transgender. Um, and then pansexual people are attracted based on personality, so men, women, someone who might be transgender as well. It depends. So they're very similar, but slightly different meanings. Okay. What does it mean if someone is intersex? So, anyone? So intersex means when you are born, you're not born a man or a woman, you're kind of in between. So it does happen sometimes. So how they identify for a man or woman is obviously the physical, as well as the hormones and your chromosomes. So sometimes people's chromosomes get mixed up, and sometimes how they are physically gets mixed up. So they are not a man and not a woman when they are born. They might have both, or they have neither. And it just happens sometimes. Not very often, but it sometimes happens. Okay, what does it mean to be non-binary? Oh, does anyone want to put it in the box, chat box? What does it mean to be non-binary? So non-binary, kind of combined with both types of sex. So someone who is transgendered wants to switch, say, from a man to a woman or woman to a man, usually. Like that was kind of the most common. So non-binary means that they do not identify as a man or a woman. Maybe they identify as both. Sometimes they want to express themselves as a man. Sometimes they want to express themselves as a woman. So they say that their gender is non-binary. They're not really a woman, they're not really a man. They kind of feel in between, in the middle about things. So binary means this side or this side. So they're kind of saying, oh, I'm in the middle. I don't feel like a man, I don't feel like a woman, or I feel like both. Okay. So that kind of took a long time, but we kind of already talked about some issues. But we're going to look at some specific issues in Myanmar. So in Myanmar, homosexual acts are illegal. So LGBT plus people can be put in jail. There's no legal same-sex marriage. There can be discrimination for housing. There can be discrimination based on employment, legally, we're saying. And there's no protection from conversion therapy. So conversion therapy is when people try and force people to stop being gay or stop being LGBTQ. And there's lots of social stigma attached to being LGBT plus, sorry. So there have been pride parades in Myanmar, and people don't seem to be getting sent to jail. That's not very common, but it is illegal officially. Okay. What are some LGBT plus issues in higher education? So if we're looking in the classroom, what might some of the issues be? It was kind of touched on. So you can type it in the chat box or tell me, well, what do you think some issues could be? So why might there be problems? Why might be we talking about this? Okay, so some of the issues are that a lot of LGBT plus students are bullied. So they are treated very, very, very badly by other students and maybe even other teachers and staff. This causes them to be absent from school, which is obviously not a good thing. If they miss school, then they're not going to get as good a marks. So they might get lower grades, which is not good. They might drop out of school. Yeah, so maybe it's harder for them to socialize and make groups, because maybe people have social stigma. People do not want to be with them, so they're separate. It might cause them to get depressed, so mental health issues. They might get depressed, they might get sad, they might use drugs, they might use alcohol to deal with the problems. So it's something that it's kind of good to know about as a teacher, that these issues might be possible if there is a student that is LGBT plus. They might get bullied and they might get treated badly, and they might get depressed and not want to come to school, or drop out, or do other bad behaviors because they're depressed and sad. Okay. So how can university professors support LGBT plus students? So if you want to stop the bullying and stop them being treated badly, what can you do? Because I mean, my opinion is I don't think any students should be bullied. So if you're a university professor or university instructor, what can you do? Does anyone have any ideas? You can put it in the chat box. Yeah. So you can encourage them to express more of their identity, expose students to new ideas, because everyone is different. You can create safe places where they can't get bullied. Yeah, you can encourage them not to be depressed. Maybe you can support them, be nice to them, be friendly to them. Maybe address LGBT plus issues in curriculum. Yeah, give same rights like other students. Good, good, yeah. Advocate for policy changes in the university or in the community. So to try and be more supportive of them. What are safe zones? Does anyone know what safe zones are? So, oh, do respect their being. Yeah, and suggest other students not bully LGBT plus. Good, good, I agree. So a safe zone is a place that welcomes and supports LGBT students, somewhere where they can feel safe. It shows students that you care and want them in your classroom. You're going to stop them from getting bullied. Like it is safe in here, like no bullying. Sometimes you can put like a sticker or a notice saying it is a safe zone. But yeah, it's to make them more comfortable. We're kind of taking a while, so my apologies. How can curriculum changes support LGBT plus students? Does anyone have any ideas? So how can changing your curriculum support LGBT plus students? What could you do in your lessons? You can type in the chat box. Okay, so engage all students with real world issues. So if you're an English teacher, maybe you could have them read an article about LGBT plus. Maybe, so it's a representation of contributions made by the LGBT plus community. So there are many famous people who are LGBT plus, many, many, many. So maybe you can have an article or a movie or have them do homework about someone famous who is LGBT plus. There are many like scientists and artists and everything that are LGBT plus. Being LGBT has been around since forever. So if you look at history, there's lots and lots of people. Okay. How can teachers use advocacy to support LGBT students? So what does advocacy mean? Does anyone know what advocacy means? So you can encourage your university to offer professional development, like classes like this about LGBT plus issues. Work available. So advocacy means like fighting for it. Like, this is what we want. You want change. You want something that's different. Maybe you can teach the students about LGBT plus issues. Make statements against harassment, against attacks, against bullying. So you're like, I don't agree with bullying LGBT plus students. I think bullying them is bad. You can maybe connect them. So if you know of, I know there isn't a lot of counseling, but I've seen a little bit of counseling. So maybe they need a little bit of counseling because they're depressed or they're sad. They need some help. So you can help them with that. Okay, so for our next activity, we're going to do this individually. So you have 5 minutes to answer 3 questions. So one question is about safe zones, one is about curriculum, and one is about advocacy. So you have 5 minutes to work individually, and after that, I will put you in groups to discuss. So then you have 5 minutes to discuss. So 5 minutes individually. So you have until, well, let's say until 9:25. So see if you can answer. So do it yourself and see if you can answer the questions. Okay. So do you know anyone who has established a safe zone for LGBT plus students? Is this something you could do at your university? Why or why not? What content areas do you teach? How could you integrate, which means bring in, LGBT plus issues into your curriculum? Does your university have policies related to LGBT plus students? How could you advocate for LGBT plus students? So go through and answer those questions individually. And I'll stop sharing. Okay, Kathleen, would you like to turn the music on? She leave? Oh, no, there she is.
Lisa, you are muted.
Okay, so I'm going to put you in groups for 5 minutes. So just, you can keep answering the questions and think about the answers and talk about the answers with your group. I'll do just 2 groups. So just 5 minutes, you can keep answering and talk with the people in your group.
Pramazon ပါပါလေပရမဇုံ
မေးတာပါ
တေချာမသိလိုက်ဘူးပရမဇုံ
မေးတာပါ
curriculum တတိယ
ပရမဇုံ
season
စေ့ဆုံမဟုတ်ဘူးလား
ဟုတ်ဘူးနော်
ဟုတ်တယ်ပေါ့နော်အဲ့ဒါတော့ကျွန်တော်တော့ဒီမြန်မာနိုင်ငံရဲ့တစ်ခုလုံးခြုံကိုပြန်ကြည့်လိုက်မယ်ဆိုရင်တော့ကျွန်တော်
We'll just quickly go through this because we're kind of over for time. So some of the answers, I know anyone who someone who has established a safe zone for LGBT students in order to ensure LGBT students feel safe, welcome, and included in their classroom. No, because LGBT students are rare in my university. I have no experience. So I would say from my time in Myanmar, I was only in Myanmar for about 1 year, and I met quite a few people who are LGBT, and I met lots of people who told me that they were scared to tell their friends and to tell their classmates that they were LGBT. So although they may not have told people, they might still be at your university. They might just be too scared to tell anyone. Someone who is open-minded, more liberalized ideas. It would be against with traditional people. Yeah. Maybe in USA and Mexico. Yeah. Yeah, so no, we can't because our community doesn't accept it, but in our universities, we can make them feel to study well. Good. I don't know any one of them, but I can help for those who are LGBT plus and also other students at my learning center. So in order to create a safe zone, the most important thing is that the teacher needs to know and understand the nature and feelings of LGBT. In our country, Myanmar, there may be many teachers who don't even know the meaning of LGBT. Most think that LGBT is a shame because of our traditional norm. So if we want to create a safe zone, we have to share the knowledge to the teachers first. Yeah, I think that's, yeah. So you can share knowledge about this. I think knowledge sharing is quite useful on topics like this because there are students, like I said, there are students who are LGBT, but they might just be too scared to share it. I'll try so that they have the same rights and chances as others. Curriculum. Oh. Find articles from English, which is written about LGBT plus issues and teaches English reading assignments by encouraging LGBT students not to run away, engaging them with real issues. Good. To include encouraging discussion for LGBT students into my curriculum. Good. Make a classroom-based debate. That's a good idea in LGBT issues. The curriculum must be prepared, including the respect of other personalities. Curriculum that is suitable for LGBT should be added. Not yet. I think it's a good idea to have policies for LGBT plus students. I would establish an office to support for them. No, my university doesn't have policies relating to LGBT issues, but if they are LGBT students, I'll encourage them and treat as others. Try to persuade other people to treat LGBT with respect. No, but we can make visual support and small acts of kindness. No, I try to teach all students about LGBT issues if I have a chance. Okay. Okay. So I mean, we're kind of running out of time. So I think most of this, of how to create a safe learning environment, we've kind of went through a lot. So I'm gonna just move to this. So how well oh, we rarely see LGBT students in our classroom
LGBT's blood issues.
because they are unwilling to come out. They are afraid of bullying. But during these years, who stand for LGBT, they also try to ask the rights for LGBT. Yes, that's true. They may not tell you because they're scared about bullying and they don't want to come out. Okay, how well do you understand LGBT plus issues? Not at all, a little bit, or extremely well? So on the count of 3, 1, 2, 3. Can you show me?
A little bit fun.
A little bit. Okay. Here's another comment. A little bit.
A
Okay.
little bit fun.
A little bit. Okay. So
Yes.
I'm
A little bit.
a little bit. Okay. So I'm going to send out a feedback form, an email with a feedback form, as well as an invitation to Google Classroom. Really well, a little bit, a little bit. Okay. So I'll put the feedback in the chat box right now. And I will also email it out. You only have to answer it once though. So if you answer it now, you do not need to answer it later. So you just have to fill it in once. Okay. And next week's topic, we'll do strength-based teaching, and the syllabus, strengths-based teaching. So we were going to do it this week, but someone asked about LGBT, so I thought I would add it in. So we'll do strengths-based teaching next week. Okay. Because there are many students who are like that. I really love to teach them. By the time they have confidence, they can perform well and also can help others and be helpful. Excellent. Yes, definitely. I agree. Okay, so I'm going to wait about 5 minutes if you have any questions, and otherwise we are finished. So thank you very much and goodbye.
Teacher's name. Oh, how do you spell your name, teacher? Is it
My name,
Liza Victoria Vancy?
Lisa.
Oh, Lisa. Sorry.
So my first name is Lisa. My middle name is Victoria, and my last name is Vance.
Van. Yes. Okay, I see. Thank you so much. Because sometimes, we cannot spell someone's names correctly until they pronounce by themselves.
Definitely, definitely.
Thank you so
Thank
much
you,
for tonight
Lisa.
sharing.
Thank
Mhm.
you.
Thank you, Lisa. This is the really insight into about the LGBT because we have no idea about that. There are some effective treatment for them. Thank you. Thank you for sharing.
Okay, good night, teacher.
Good night.
Leave now.
See you.
Bye-bye.
Thank you. Bye bye, teacher. Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Hello, teacher. I
Yeah,
want to ask you one question.
sure.
In order to create a safe zone, the most important thing is teacher ourselves. So there are many teachers who can accept the LGBT. So in which way can we share or discuss with the older people about LGBT?
With the older people,
All teachers, most
oh,
of the old teachers can
all
accept
teach.
LGBT, yes.
I mean, I think it is kind of difficult. I think the biggest way, like if you can do knowledge sharing or if you can offer training about the topic, then that can be quite useful. Kathleen actually found that there is training. I don't know if people would find it useful. Let's see if I can find it. There's a free safe zone training.
Yes.
And it's free material on how to teach and train other people around creating a safe zone. Yeah, I think that's it. So it gives you can download a curriculum on how to create a safe zone and how to tell other people and share, like knowledge sharing about it. But I haven't looked at it myself, so I don't know.
Yes, thank you, teacher.
Yeah. It's difficult.
It's really difficult to discuss about LGBT with the older teachers, and they are already saying that LGBT is a shame.
Yeah, definitely. And I think that that is very difficult. And it's something that's hard to deal with. But I guess like you just have to try your best and just try and explain like that obviously bullying of anyone or trying to shame them isn't going to help them. Especially as a teacher, like you want them to stay in school, you want them to learn. So obviously if the teacher is shaming them, or then that person will not stay in school or will not want to stay in that class, which is not a good thing. It's important that they finish their education.
Yes, teacher, thank you.
Okay. Any other questions?
Hi, teacher. Good night.
Good night.
Uh,
Yeah.
Lisa, how are you doing in Canada during COVID-19 pandemic? Are you doing well?
Yeah, I mean, I'm okay. We have more cases now. But I don't think we didn't really go back into lockdown. I heard Myanmar has went back into lockdown, or at least Yangon has in parts of.
Yes, I'm also stuck in the hostels.
That does not sound fun. Ugh, yeah, I think it's a hard time, and yeah, I'm staying inside, but I'm at my parents', but they have a big house, so it's not too bad for me.
Yeah, great. So how about you, Catherine?
Drink?
How about you? Are
Me?
you doing well in USA during the
Um,
19, yeah, COVID-19 pandemic?
yeah, I'm doing okay. Where I live, we're not shut down at all right now. So I'm going to work and all of my students are coming to school right now. So life is pretty normal. Really just like the old people or people who have other illnesses are staying home right now. But we all have to wear masks all of the time and we're doing contact tracing. So the order to wear mask will end in like 2 weeks. So hopefully they make everyone keep wearing masks for a little longer because it's protecting a lot of people right now. So
Yeah.
we'll see. The president has COVID-19 now in our country. So that's the big news that everyone is worried about right now.
Yes, I see. Yeah. Okay.
But I personally am fine.
Yeah. Okay, good night.
Okay, good night. I think I'm going to end the call now.
Good night.
Everyone have a good night. Thank you very much. Bye-bye.
Thank you so much, teacher.
Thank you.